Have you ever watched someone betray you and then look like they're thriving without consequence? Don't be fooled. Life doesn't scream justice, it whispers it. They laughed, they lied, they left. But what if I told you? Karma doesn't. Knock loudly, it slips through the cracks when no one's watching. If you've ever felt like the villain walked free, remember this: silence is not weakness. It's the language karma speaks best. The worst people often look like they're winning. But don't be deceived. Life doesn't settle its debts in front of an audience. It collects in silence, and it never forgets. Stoics don't chase revenge. They don't need to. They watch, they heal, and while they're finding peace, karma is already moving in the shadows, speaking a language only the guilty can hear. You might think they got away with it, the lies, the betrayal, the emotional manipulation. They walked off like nothing ever happened, but something did happen. And now life is responding, not with sirens, not in courtrooms, but through whispers no one else hears. Whispers they feel every single day. This video reveals 5 silent signs that someone is already facing the consequences of how they treated you. Not through public shame, but through the quiet erosion of their peace. Not in front of a crowd, but inside their own mind. And especially in those private, lonely moments when no one is there to applaud their performance. This isn't about revenge, it's about truth. And truth doesn't need to shout, just is. Nothing weighs heavier than pretending you're fine when your soul is falling apart. But karma doesn't care about surface smiles. It works beneath the surface, deep in the heart, when the room is silent and no one's watching. The first quiet sign karma is at work. They start acting like life has never been better. You know the type. The one who ghosted you, broke your trust, blamed you for their damage, then walked away like they were the victim. Now suddenly they're glowing, posting selfies every day, smiling in places you two never visited, laughing with people who never knew your name. And if you're not careful, you might actually believe it. You scroll through their curated life, their highlight reel of fake joy, and whisper to yourself, maybe they really are happier without me. But don't be fooled. Real happiness doesn't need proof. Fake happiness does. You've seen this before. Right after the fallout, they go quiet. Then suddenly, boom, they're everywhere. Stories, quotes, gym pics, captions about healing with someone new, as if guilt never touched them. It's a whole performance. But if you look closely, the smile is forced. The eyes are distant. The energy, desperate. Because happiness doesn't have to be loud. But insecurity always shouts. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. That's why the Stoic doesn't argue. They don't stalk stories. They don't clap back. They observe, because true peace doesn't perform. It doesn't have to. And the louder someone tries to prove they've moved on, the more likely they haven't. Karma doesn't wear a spotlight. It shows up silently, every night. When they lay in bed, scroll through nothing, and realize the person they became is the reason they lost someone who truly cared. You were the one who still cared. The one who never wanted to see them suffer. But no number of posts, no fake joy, no rebound relationship can drown out the quiet voice inside that whispers, "I messed up something real." Let them smile for the camera, because you know the truth. The most exhausting lie is pretending to be at peace. Karma doesn't always strike like lightning. Sometimes It begins with erosion, slow, subtle, almost invisible at first. It starts taking away the very things they once held carelessly in their hands, without even realizing they're slipping. The second silent sign karma is at work is when life starts subtracting. Not with chaos, but with quiet precision. People often expect karma to show up with explosions, a car crash, a brutal breakup, a dramatic betrayal. But karma is far more surgical than that. It doesn't shout, it doesn't throw fits, it simply begins to remove. At first, it's so quiet they don't even notice. They lose small things, a friend who no longer replies, a colleague who grows distant, an opportunity that disappears without warning, and they brush it off. They say, it's just life, just bad luck, just a coincidence, until it keeps happening again and again and again. Eventually, they look around and realize they're standing in the ruins of everything they once mocked, dismissed, or took for granted. They used to say you were too sensitive, that you overreacted, that you cared too much. But the truth is, you were the only one reacting with heart. You showed up. You stayed up late, talking them through their breakdowns. You forgave them when they overlooked your worth. You believed in them even when they didn't believe in themselves. And how did they repay you? They rolled their eyes. They joked that you were clingy, needy, too soft for this world. They treated your presence like it was permanent, like it was owed to them, not gifted. So eventually you stopped giving. You stopped fighting for someone who never truly showed up for you. And quietly, you walked away. At first, they felt free, unbothered, relieved. But then, the silence started to echo. The messages slowed down. Their circle got smaller. The people they trusted turned out to be just like them, selfish, cold, Transactional. Suddenly, all those options they thought they had, gone. The support they once received without asking. Missing the comfort of being truly understood by someone who genuinely cared. Irreplaceable, because no one can replicate the space you held in their life. Especially not someone new who only knows the version of them still pretending to be healed. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one," and that's what karma does. It strips away everything that no longer aligns with the truth. Because when someone mistreats a good person, they're not just betraying you, they're betraying the version of themselves that once had access to peace, patience, forgiveness, and emotional depth. Karma doesn't punish with spectacle. It punishes with clarity. It shows them exactly what they lost and makes them live without it. Every room feels colder. Every new relationship feels thinner. Every victory feels emptier. Because deep down, they know they had something real. And they let it slip away. Let them lose. Let them learn. Let them look around and realize nothing they have now feels as safe or as sacred as what they once had with you. Because karma doesn't just take away things, it takes away the version of themselves they were when your love was still part of their life. And no matter how hard they try to recreate it, they will never find that same peace again. Especially when every story they tell, every sentence they speak, somehow still circles back to you. Karma doesn't always speak in dramatic gestures. Sometimes it whispers quietly right in the back of their mind. The third sign that someone is silently receiving their karma is this: you still live in their thoughts, even when they pretend you don't. Even when they act like you've been erased from their life, their memory, their story, you're still there. Not through your name, not directly, never publicly. But pay close attention, because their silence is saying more than their words ever could. They start posting vague, cryptic quotes on social media, captions that seem general, but you know better. Lines about betrayal, fake people, loyalty, healing from the past, not too obvious. Never specific, just enough for you to recognize the pattern. And then there are the offhand comments in conversation. Little phrases like, "Some people will never understand what they lost," or "Not everyone deserves my energy anymore." At first glance, it might sound like general wisdom, but you know their language. You know how they talk when they're guilty. You know the way they avoid truth, but still try to say something. You've been there, scrolling through your feed, living your life, then suddenly, boom, a post hits you. Not tagged, not directed at you, but it feels like a bullet wrapped in poetry. Every word screams your presence without ever speaking your name. It's like they're throwing a signal into the void, hoping you'll catch it, but still wanting to look like they don't care. That's not power. That's not healing. That's a wounded ego trying to scream through the cracks. And maybe their friends don't notice. Maybe no one around them catches it. But you do, because you once loved them deeply enough to understand their silences. And now those very silences are screaming back at them. Karma doesn't always punish with consequences you can see. Sometimes it punishes with obsession, with spiraling thoughts they can't silence, with memories they wish would fade, but now chase them like shadows. It's the regret they can't swallow, the moments they thought they forgot now, playing on repeat. A Stoic doesn't chase revenge. A Stoic doesn't post back. A Stoic doesn't reply with cryptic quotes of their own. Because to respond is to validate, but to remain silent, that is power reclaimed. Epictetus said, "If someone speaks ill of you, live in such a way that no one will believe it." So when they talk around you, behind you, or about you, don't respond, don't explain, don't justify. Let them carry your name silently, like a burden. Because the more they speak in circles, the clearer the truth becomes. You left, but they never did. Let them talk. Let them post half-truths, hinting captions, twisted stories. Let them heal loudly, just to hide the fact that they're not healing at all. You don't need to be in their life to live rent-free in their mind. That's karma and the mind. It's the loudest prison of all, especially when the person they wronged won't even look back. Stay silent, because once again, silence says everything. When you betray someone good, you don't just lose them, you lose the ability to trust anyone who even reminds you of them, including yourself. The fourth sign that someone is silently receiving their karma is when they stop believing in other people, and slowly they stop believing in themselves. At first, it might look like healthy boundaries. They say they're just protecting their peace. They shrink their circle. They stop opening up. They get selective with their energy. You'll hear them say things like, "I just don't trust people anymore. Everyone's fake these days." But what's beneath that surface? It's not strength. It's not healing. It's fear. The kind of fear that only grows in the shadow of guilt. You've seen it happen. They used to be open. They used to laugh freely, trust easily, speak without filters. But after what they did to you or to others, something changed. Not something obvious, not something loud, something quiet, something internal. Now they question everyone's intentions. They assume betrayal before trust. They dissect every word, every action, every silence, looking for signs, signs that someone else might do too. Then what they once did to you, Why? Because deep down, they know what they're capable of. And once you've harmed someone who truly didn't deserve it, you start to believe the world is full of people just like you. People who might hurt you the way you hurt them. And that is karma's most intimate punishment. Self-doubt doesn't isolate you with chains or walls. It isolates you quietly from the inside out. It starts as a whisper, the same inner voice that once said, "I've got this," now murmurs, "Maybe I'm the problem." That single thought is terrifying, because the moment you start to question yourself, peace becomes impossible, no matter how silent the room is. Even in stillness, there's chaos. Seneca once said, "He who does wrong rarely trusts anyone else, because he knows what he himself is capable of." The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that true peace doesn't come from silence around you, but from harmony within you. If your actions betray your own values, you don't just lose others, you lose yourself. That's how karma often works, not with lightning strikes or public humiliation, but with slow, invisible erosion. It creeps in as a restlessness you can't name, a tightness in your chest when life finally feels calm, a quiet voice saying, "You don't deserve this," even when you've done nothing wrong. That's karma, not loud, not vengeful, just quiet, precise, and deeply personal. So let them sit in that stillness. Let them begin to distrust everyone, the way they once made others question love. Let them fear the shadows they used to cast, because karma doesn't always scream in revenge. Sometimes it whispers through paranoia and turns your own conscience into your jailer. The worst prison isn't built with bars, it's built with guilt. And if they've lost the ability to trust, don't feel sorry. Don't rush in to fix them. Don't try to prove that not everyone is like them. That's not your role. You were never sent to redeem someone who chose destruction. You offered them truth. They returned betrayal. Now karma is giving them exactly what they earned. Not chaos, not drama, but the slow, quiet collapse of self. Because karma doesn't yell. It introduces you to yourself. And that's not even the end. The fifth and most undeniable sign of karma is when life sends someone exactly like them. Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." But the truth is, the universe doesn't seek revenge, seeks restoration. It doesn't get even, it gets balanced. And it does this not by hurting someone back, but by letting them truly feel the pain they once caused. Not through karma in the way people usually imagine, but through real-life encounters with people they can't control, can't fix, can't read, can't manipulate. This isn't about punishment, it's about perspective. Because the deepest lessons aren't heard, they're lived, they're felt, and they don't arrive as lightning bolts. They arrive slowly, like shadows creeping in at dusk. They used to laugh at how much you cared. Now they cry over someone who couldn't care less. They used to mock your sensitivity. Now they're being called too much by someone who withholds love. They used to leave you unread like it was nothing now. They're begging for a reply that never comes. And that reply is just a shrug, a cold silence. And that's when it hits them. Not all at once, but piece by piece, slowly, painfully, undeniably. They're not just being hurt, they're being mirrored, and the mirror doesn't lie. Let them meet their match. Let them feel the ache, the confusion, the helplessness of being seen, used, then dismissed, just like they once did to you. But this time, there's no scapegoat. No one left to gaslight. No one to manipulate the story for sympathy. Because the villain on the other side of the pain isn't some cruel stranger ditz them, just wearing a different face, repeating the same pattern. That's not revenge. That's return. Karma doesn't yell. It doesn't slash and burn. It simply holds up a mirror and whispers, "This is you." So when they ask, "Why is this happening to me?" the answer is simple. You're not being punished. You're being shown, and you don't need to fight people who are already fighting themselves. Karma doesn't need backup. It doesn't need your clapback, your defense, or your proof. It doesn't need you to retell the story or beg the world to understand your worth. It only needs one thing from you: your silence, your composure, your refusal to lower yourself to their level. Because while they're still tangled in lies, ego, and manipulation, you've stepped into something stronger: clarity. You see, karma isn't just about what happens to them. It's about what happens to you. When you finally let go, you stop needing closure, because peace becomes your closure. You stop needing justice, because time becomes your witness. You stop needing them to feel your pain, because life will handle the lesson in its own way. Your role isn't to punish. Your role is to rise, to become so steady, so grounded, so emotionally unshakable that no one, not even the ghost of the person who broke you, can ever disturb your peace again. That is the Stoic way. We don't curse. We don't chase. We don't perform for attention. We walk forward quietly, powerfully, with the kind of discipline karma respects deeply. So, if you're watching this and someone hurt you, someone who never apologized, someone who pretended like you didn't matter, let them go. Because even if they seem free, they're not. They're haunted by the one thing they can't silence: the truth. And trust this: people who lie to others can sleep at night. But people who lie to themselves, they don't sleep at all. If this message spoke to your heart, don't waste your energy chasing closure. Comment below with the one line that hits you hardest. Let others know they're not alone. And if you're walking this path of silent strength, subscribe to Life Through Stoicism here. We don't just talk about healing, we train the mind to lead, not react. We build clarity, we build discipline, we build unshakable peace. Let karma do what karma does. And you keep becoming someone they'll never have access to again. That's not revenge, that's evolution. And the world watches in silence, because growth like that makes noise without a sound.